Recruiting is heating up for the Crimson Tide.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luke Robinson. That's Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein, and this is Locked On Bama. Thank you guys for joining us, making the Locked On the number one sports podcast network there is on Earth, on this planet. So, Jimmy, recruiting is heating up. We're going to talk about that. We got 2 quarterbacks now at the Elite 11 confirmed. That's wonderful. We're also going to talk about some of the things Kaylen DeBoer said about E.J. Crowell and the quarterback battle. And you've got your roster countdown with another player that is a punter, but we like him.
No. Snapper. We're going with a long snapper today.
Oh, long snapper today. Okay.
Yep.
See, I'm surprised by it too. We're all going to learn.
We'll do some recruiting though.
We'll definitely do some recruiting right now. One thing that I thought was interesting that's come out, Antonio Berry, who is trending towards a 5-star, very high 4-star. He's from Tupelo. He's ranked number 32 in the Rivals 300, MVP of the Rivals camp over this past weekend. You got to think he's probably going to end up being a 5-star after all is said and done. He's got a lot of visits lined up. He's got visits. It's a very weird visit list. Kentucky, Ole Miss, Colorado, California, and Alabama. I mean, there's one school that stands out above the rest right there, without a doubt. Kentucky is on the come up. They're recruiting really well. Ole Miss just went to the college football semifinal. So, again, kudos to them. And Colorado is, always getting guys to visit for one reason or another. But I still think Alabama has got to be at the top. Now, he has said Alabama and Ole Miss they're at the top. And got to feel like Alabama feels good here, right?
Yeah, Alabama feels very optimistic here. Alabama's in a good spot for Antonio Berry, but it's going to be, I think, really difficult to beat Ole Miss for him in the sense that I think he's probably about at or near the top of their priority list. He might be the most important guy to them, and I think we all know what that means when it comes to modern day recruiting. So I think beating Ole Miss is going to be difficult, but there is a good shot here. Alabama has signed multiple 5-star tackles in recent cycles. They can do so again. And Antonio Berry, you have a real good chance. I know it's Mississippi, but he's sort of, local. Tupelo's not that far from Tuscaloosa. His list is really interesting. I don't think he's going to go anywhere but Ole Miss or Alabama, but very interesting list. First of all, as we know, Deion Sanders gets a lot of 5-stars, at least a visit. He signed some of them. Most of them just visit and leave. But he has signed 5-star tackles like Jordan Seaton in the past. And then Cal and Kentucky, weirdly coached by Oregon's coordinators. Oregon's OC is at Kentucky. Oregon's DC is at Cal. But no doubt, Will Stein at Kentucky has upgraded Kentucky's football recruiting. I think he's gotten Kentucky far more competitive NIL-wise, and they're making runs at top talent. It's a different Kentucky in terms of a recruiting force. And Cal under Tosh. Tosh was the best recruiter at Alabama. Tosh was Nick Saban's best recruiter. In all of Saban's years at Alabama, Tosh was the best recruiter. He was Oregon's best recruiter. I don't know what the ceiling is for Cal in terms of signing top talent, but whatever their ceiling is, Tosh will hit it. He will recruit Cal better than anyone has recruited Cal. Now, does that mean it will be enough to be successful? I don't know. Will it be enough to sign a kid like a Tupelo tackle going all the way to Cal? That just seems incredibly unlikely to me. But it is evidence of how Cal is got both feet in, and Kentucky does too. But I think Antonio Berry is Alabama or Ole Miss. I lean Ole Miss. But Alabama is a serious player here, and it could very likely end up Alabama. Alabama only really wants a couple of offensive linemen in this group. I would think Antonio Berry's at the top of Alabama's wish list insofar as that position group.
It's going to be interesting. I wonder if it would behoove Alabama, even though he's going to commit, I think, before this time, if Ole Miss sort of took a downward turn this year. I'll say this. I mean, just reading tea leaves myself, I give a slight nod to Alabama, but
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. I think Alabama's going to make him high priority because they've already missed out on a couple of other offensive linemen that they were in on. So this is not going to be a huge class. Kaylen DeBoer said as much. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that later on in the show. But so I feel like maybe Alabama will allocate maybe a little more than they normally would for somebody that they prioritize if it's not going to be quite as large of a class. Do you think that makes some sense?
It does make sense because the smaller class you have, that means more money is available for each kid. When you have a smaller roster, a lot of people are like, they look at that 105 number. You can have 105 on scholarship now. Well, you can, but if you want to divide up the money 105 ways, you're not going to have as much money for the 5-star types are going to want and demand. So you can't divide up 105 ways. The smaller your roster is, the more money there is to give out. Because again, there's only a finite amount of money, certainly as it relates to rev share, and NIL is more of a budget than some unending number. So yeah, that's true. I also think, Luke, a primary driving force behind a smaller class this year, two things. Number one, there's only 10 seniors on the team. That number one. So it was always going to be smaller for that reason. But number two, even bigger, the 5-for-5 rule, expected to pass before this fall. Now you're not even losing all 10. Some of those seniors are going to stick around. And everybody on the team just got younger. That sounds crazy, but that's literally what happened. Everyone on the team got younger. Caleb Woodson is no longer a senior. He could come back. Devin Tompkins, he could come back. I don't know if those things will happen, but when you add all that up, yeah, it makes complete sense that this is going to be a smaller group than what we normally see at Alabama. I'm not surprised at all.
Let me throw in a note about Colorado too. You mentioned them for Antonio Berry, his visit there, and part of me goes, hey, at this point, don't people go into Colorado realize this ain't going to work? I mean, no offense to the Buffaloes, it just ain't going to work with Deion. It's just not. I mean, now that said, I can say this with absolute certainty because this was, of course, about a kid from my area. But Sedarian Morgan, when he went out to Colorado last year, Alabama was worried because they knew Colorado was going to have a significant offer because they were going to prioritize him. That seems to be their MO, is like, let's go get 3 or 4 just bang up guys and fill in what we need to the rest of the way. But they prioritized Sedarian Morgan, and there was at least some mild concern. So when I throw Colorado on the list, we may just say, what's the big whoop? But they will put a lot of money into it, apparently. That being said, I mean, I guess the money's the money, but in the end, it's probably high time everybody realized the Deion experiment is not going to work out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work, but I also think goalposts have been moved there a few times. I mean, in terms of, like, I agree that he's not going to be a long-term success. I don't think so. But I think people forget how truly bad Colorado was before he got there. And I think he's improved their program. I mean, they weren't getting even visits from the Jordan Seatons and the Antonio Berries, signing Juju Lewis, winning 9 games. It used to take them 3 years to win 9 games. But yeah, right now it doesn't look good. I'm sure his health is a factor there. Doesn't look good for Colorado, but it hasn't looked good for Colorado since the early 90s.
Yeah. So it's just going to be interesting to see how this Colorado continues. That being said, let's talk about a guy we talked about yesterday, a dangerous guy, because I've always said people with 2 first names as their first and last name are dangerous. Charles Scott.
Yeah.
That is a guy you think may be pulling the trigger very soon.
Well, yeah. BOL's reporting that. Tim Watts, BOL's been all over this. It does appear that a commitment to Alabama may be imminent. It'd be a big deal. I watched the highlight tape again. What's interesting to me is when I think Bone interviewed him for BOL, and he has talked to him a couple of different times. Bone refers to him as 6'5", 235, and when you watch the tape, 6'4", 235. When you watch the tape, that size makes a little more sense than 255. Now, maybe he's swollen up since then. I don't think he looks 255 to me on the huddle tape of his 10th grade year. But he does look 235, which is a remarkable size for a 10th grade quarterback. Again, I, for one, am excited about Charles Scott on the tape. If you solely get excited on players based on rankings, then you're going to have to wait about 2 years before you get excited about Charles Scott. I'm just going to beat the rush and get excited about him now because I think he will be a highly rated guy by the time that the 28 class is thoroughly rated and ranked. I'm excited. Big, strong guy. Again, for now, I haven't found a good comp yet that I love, but for now, my comp is Byron Leftwich.
So, that's a good one. In fact, boy, he almost kind of looks like Byron Leftwich.
Yes, he does.
Like,
Maybe that's
Byron
where I'm getting that
Leftwich
from.
had sort of
In
a
the
baby
face.
face too.
He does look like, now that you mention it, that picture
wow.
of him on Rivals, I didn't even know. Maybe I was doing that subconsciously, but yeah, Byron Leftwich is not a terrible comp here. Another pretty good one's Dante Culpepper.
Yeah, but Dante Culpepper didn't have that same baby face.
No.
Dante looked like a grown man all the time. And I still can't get the image of Byron Leftwich being carried by two offensive linemen.
Yeah,
Remember
was
that
he at
game?
Marshall when that happened?
Yeah, and he was they picked him. He was hurt, and so he couldn't walk down the field. And they were trying to do like a 2-minute drill, and they picked him up and carried him down there. It was just ultra cool.
Leftwich and Culpepper, and hey, I'll take Byron Leftwich at Alabama. Yeah. I'll take it. I'll roll the dice with Byron Leftwich and see how that goes.
Now, Jimmy, also, they're not our sponsor today, but since it sounds like you are having some premature celebration problems with this potential commitment, Rougiette could help. Just letting you know.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. I take all the help I can get.
Oh, me, I was laughing so hard at my own joke, I forgot to do this. Let's talk a little Indeed. Indeed is great.
Tell them about Indeed. I got to grab something.
Okay. How about this? I'll just make it a big screen for me. There we go. Now that's better. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post like a sucker. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply because they apply to everything. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Want to remind everybody to subscribe to the show for sure. Just click the button. It's right there. And then also check out lockedonbama.supercast.com. It's where you can get access to our Discord page. It's wonderful. Jimmy is incredibly active on there and is doing a marvelous job. And we've got other dudes that just post memes and GIFs and GIFs and things that are so funny all the time. But it's all like-minded Bama people. There's nobody arguing or fussing. It's just exchange of ideas, and it's nothing but fun and love, Jimmy. Fun and love over at lockedonbama.supercast.com, and roll tidiness everywhere. So go check it out. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the year. We would appreciate your looking into that. So I mentioned it earlier. We'll go ahead and throw this out there very quickly. Two of our quarterbacks, our only two commitments, are going to the Elite 11. That's going to be one Trent Seaborn and one Elijah Haven. I think it's wonderful. I think it's how often does one team have two quarterbacks at the Elite 11? I think
I would tell you we did it one other time, but you'll be surprised too. Just goes to show how not every Elite 11 kid becomes an elite collegian. No, we did it under, I think it was 2016 or so. 2017, we had Talia Tungavailoa and Paul Tyson at Elite 11 in the same year.
That's wild. Two guys from the state of Alabama, by the way.
Two guys from the state of Alabama. And Talia did go on to become, I think he's the all-time leading passer in Big Ten history or something. I know he's the all-time leading passer in Maryland history. So Talia did have a really good college career at Maryland. And Paul never became a starter, but was, a backup quarterback at multiple schools throughout his time. But yeah, getting two that are committed to you, and one is it's really unbelievable. And of course, we have very high expectations for both Elijah Haven and Trent Seaborn. And we hope Trent hope to have him here on the show pretty soon.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. We are certainly digging into
We're
that.
efforting.
Let's talk about the roster countdown, Jimmy. Who you got for us today?
Jay Williams. Not everybody be familiar with him, of course, as a lot of the walk-ons. Jay is one of the three long snappers that are competing for the job. And let me tell you guys, snapping was an issue at Alabama last year. I don't know how many. It rarely makes the headlines, right? But it was an issue, even to the point there were several bad snaps. The main snapper was David Byrd, a transfer from Cal. There were a lot of bad snaps and some communication issues between the kicker and the long snapper. And I think we all do know the boiling over point when there was a bad snap. Connor misses the kick. And as we all know, Connor's unfortunate public scolding of the snapper, and we're all familiar with that. We're moving past that. But point being, due to that, I point out all the time to people, the kicker is who, it's his name on the door. The kicker is who everybody gets upset with. Notice that the coaching staff didn't change the kicker. They changed the snapper. That was sort of the end for David Byrd, who has since transferred out of the program. Alex Rozier basically replaced David Byrd, and he remains on the team as a fifth-year senior this year. He is one of the three competing for the spot, along with Jay Williams, along with Ethan Stengel, who is a preferred walk-on from Syracuse, who was Syracuse's long snapper a year ago. Now, because Stengel just, walked on in, and he was the starter at Syracuse, a lot of people a lot of fans, I think, are assuming he will be the guy. Well, I don't know that that's going to necessarily be the case. I think all three of these guys competed this spring, and there is no clear guy that's ahead. I think Alex Rozier has some game experience at Alabama. He's got a good chance. Stengel was a guy they went and got. He's got a chance. But don't sell out our guy, Jay Williams, or don't sell him short. Jay was at the long snapping school that, believe it or not, there is a long snapping type camp that all the top long snappers go to. He was like the top guy or one of the top 5 guys, I think, in the camp that he went. So he was kind of a high value prospect. Big time Gump. Those are good, right? Such a Gump. His middle name is Bryant. And how about this for getting all-time King Gump status? He took his first steps as a baby in Bryant-Denny. Took his first steps in the stadium there with his parents for a game. So they're all big Alabama fans. Jay 6'1", 216, 4.0 grade point average. This is his year 3 in the program. Look, this long snapping job could go in any of the 3 directions. Stengel, with his experience, could win it out. Rozier, to some extent, kind of a returning starter here. But Jay Williams has been nipping at their heels, also, and had a great spring. He could end up the long snapper. I think this is one of these fall camp things. It won't be determined until fall camp. And Jay Nunez and Kaylen DeBoer will figure it out from there. But Jay Williams is today's player, as we are now, Luke, can you believe it? Already just 97 days from the start of fall camp.
I mean, I'm already itching. I mean, like, honest to gosh, like,
might need to see a doctor.
What am I? Yeah, Rugiet can't help with that. I was already thinking. It just makes me itch even more. Nah, just kidding. So I'm already thinking, like, what am I going to do some of these weekends? Like, I can get by with. I love basketball. That's what I played. But it's different. Like college football at being on along with pro football and high school football, like that sustains me in the fall. That's all. It's all I look forward to all week. And when it's there, it's all I do. And then it's all I look forward to again. So 97 days away, it feels.
I like the anticipation's fun. I like the anticipation. Football's an event. I like Major League Baseball. Luke doesn't. I love Major League Baseball. I watch the Braves pretty much every day. There's 162 of those. It's not an event. It's not an event. It's daily. And there are days when I'm like, I'm not going to watch the Braves today. Football is an event. It's an event sport. It's an event when it happens. It's not just a game. There's 80 NBA basketball games and 162 major league games. There's a bunch of college baseball and softball games. There's a heck, you can play 40 college basketball games, make it into the postseason. There's not many football games at the college or pro level. It's an event, and it's got the shortest season. So that's the longest off season. I like it. I like the anticipation, the build up, and that we get to talk about all summer about what we think is going to happen in the fall.
Okay, so Jimmy, Kaylen DeBoer is at the Regions golf tournament thing or whatever it is in Birmingham that's going to make my drive home on 280 suck. But it really is. But so he's there, and he, of course, he had some comments. First of all, before we get to his comments, let's bring up something Alex Golesh said, the head coach at Auburn. It got more play than it probably deserved. Somebody asked Alex Golesh about, hey, you haven't had much luck against Alabama recently, and neither is Auburn or something like that. And he said, well, this team hadn't played Alabama. And, I'm fine with it. I mean, there's some people that felt like he was talking a little trash. I don't think he was talking trash. It was a very Kurt Signetti thing to say. It was almost a Saban bot thing to say. It was and because frankly, he's right. They haven't. And he's also correct. I would think is blowing smoke, except he also went out of his way to say, look, he said, this is the best rivalry in college football. And of course it means more. Now he said, no, and then he sort of backtracked a little bit and said, well, they all mean all mean a lot and whatever yet. But
yeah,
I kind of appreciate the fact that he's appreciating the rivalry because frankly, that was, if I had one thing I could have ever complained about Saban, it's that he didn't hate Auburn enough. Now, I know he was caught on camera in 2008 saying, don't you know how much I hate these guys? But I felt like he always treated the Auburn game as another game.
Yep.
And frankly, I think that kept him from dominating Auburn the way, even more than he did. He dominated Auburn, but even more than he did, because he did look at it like game by game by game. Now, far be it from me to question the GOAT. I'm just saying from my own personal standpoint, as a guy who doesn't want Auburn to win at anything ever, especially against us, that I like it when a coach understands the rivalry and what it means. And I think Golesh does understand that. And so I'm not taking any kind of personal offense by that. And I don't think anybody at Alabama should.
I think just contrast what Golesh said to what Bryant Haynes, the Indiana defensive coordinator, said about, basically in response to Ty Simpson a week ago. I don't think Alex Golesh was disrespectful. I don't think he said anything that was over the line. I like that he hyped up. I think to some extent he's adding hype. He's got that Dixieland Delight playing, at Auburn practices. I think they call it the Iron Bowl period of practice. Yep. I like it. I like it. I think that's, in some ways, that is a respectful thing to do, right? I mean, he's respecting the Iron Bowl and Alabama and what the game means when he does that, as opposed to Bryant Haynes, who disrespected Alabama directly at or in response to a player, Ty Simpson. I just think what Golesh did is great or fine, and what Haynes did is just pretty shameful. I mean, going fair. After a player,
Very fair. I think that it was almost respectful compliment from Golesh, and it was obviously, a childlike response from the Indiana DC. Now, some other things DeBoer said. He talked about EJ Crowell and his injury. And by the way, I don't know if we talked about this yesterday, but EJ Crowell's picture that was tweeted out by the university, oh my God, he's been working out. Meanwhile, so has Ryan Coleman Williams. Those two guys have gotten beefcake all of a sudden.
Yeah, even my wife noticed, like look how much bigger Ryan is. He's put in the work. That's the thing, man. It sets me off every now and then. I see people take a shot at Ryan over for whatever it is, but questioning his work ethic means you have no idea what's going on in the program. That's about the hardest working kid on the whole team. And then there's people, oh, he's doing his podcast, he's this or he's that, and he doesn't focus. That's why he drops. Ryan Coleman Williams may be the hardest working player on the team. And I 100% expect, this is a 100% expectation. There's no way for me to know. 100% expect this fall, the team's going to meet. They're going to vote on captains. Ryan Williams, he's going to be a captain. Why? Because he's like the hardest working guy on the team. And no one respects him more because of the work that he puts in. And it's evident in just looking at him. So any criticism about work ethic, when someone says that, that means they don't know anything about the football team. I mean, you can criticize him for dropping balls. You can criticize him for his play. But if you're criticizing his work ethic, that means you don't know anything about what's going on in the team or the locker room.
So, what about what he said about EJ Crowell?
Yeah, two things there. I think if you're prone to panic and your glass is half empty, I get being a little concerned here because they said, oh, it's a minor thing. He'll be back before the end of spring. He wasn't. Then they said, it's no big deal that he doesn't participate in the scrimmages during the spring. He's fine. Now they're saying June before he's fully cleared to participate in all activities. So if you're a glass half full guy, a glass half empty guy, I get being a little alarmed here. I'm more of a glass half full guy, and I look at it this way. No one on the planet Earth is talking about him not being 100% for fall camp. No one is even, as a matter of fact, what DeBoer said was, we think he's going to be fine for the player-led practices. That starts in June when the captains, guys that end up being elected captain, they get the whole team together and they sort of run through practices on themselves and practice as a team or as a unit together. DeBoer says Crowell is going to be fine for that. So I'm not worried about this at all. I really have zero worry, but I'm a glass half full guy. The glass half empty guys, I think there's enough circumstantial evidence there for y'all to be a little alarmed. So I'm not going to make fun of anybody that feels that way. But I don't. Based on what I know, based on what DeBoer said, I know of no one saying Crowell is not expected to be 100% for fall camp. As a matter of fact, the expectation is he'll be 100% in June.
And I think he will be. That being said, I mean, we are sort of injuries in Alabama are wonky. I mean, it's like go back to Keaton Bristow just for a minute. At first we thought he was just hurt for a minute and he'll be back, and then he's not back at all. He didn't come back at all. Now he's coming back next year, but I'm just saying that it's little things like that, little nagging things. And then you talk about even something like Ty Simpson was dealing with nagging injuries for a while until ultimately when we were getting demolished by Indiana, I mean, it finally just it came to a head and he had to go out. So we just don't like this nagging stuff as Alabama fans.
With Oates referring to Keaton Bristow's injury and about how he's coming along, about how the trainers are working with him, it just reminds me to say, I'll just leave it at this. There were a lot of rumors about Keaton Bristow. It just, those rumors appear really wrong. The kid was hurt.
Yeah.
The kid's hurt. Why would Nate still be talking about it now and about how he's not even healthy to go now? Still working with the trainers. A lot of the Bristow rumors were irresponsible and wrong. And I, for one, am thrilled the kid's coming back at Alabama because the healthy Bristow I saw is going to help Alabama win basketball games this year.
Well, he's another 6'10" guy on the roster, and that's a pretty good thing. So, I'm pro Bristow, and there were a lot of rumors about Bristow out there, and frankly, I had heard some from what I would consider to be pretty credible sources.
Me too.
Yet, it appears that a lot of people were just misled or misinformed, and
it doesn't jive up with what clearly the reality.
Exactly.
There's a clear reality here. Now there may be grains of truth in all of it, but there's a clear reality that Bristow was hurt and unable to play.
What was that on Seinfeld where where Smokey got hurt or something. She said, she said, in every joke, there's a hint of truth. And Jerry was like, well, not about the guy who wanted a Boston cream pie and he flew all the way from England or so. I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't know what you're talking about. I actually don't know this one. And I was quoting Seinfeld just yesterday. So
well, the only reason I bring it up is because the other day somebody either instant messaged me or something and said, hey, y'all haven't done a Seinfeld reference in a while. Why don't y'all bring one out? And so I saw a hole to do it. And then I realized, I got midway through it and I was like, I'm not really sure how that one went. So my bad.
How about a Kramer quote talking about Jane Goodall? I think they were talking about Jane Goodall. And Kramer, I don't know why her name came up. And Kramer said, Jane Goodall is the only human ever accepted into guerrilla society. And once you've been accepted into guerrilla society, you're made in the shade.
I'm going to tell you, I know that his career took a downturn after Seinfeld.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest TV characters of all time.
Oh, Kramer, just absolutely awesome. And then he would later, even after all the controversy, appear on Curb a few times, and it was always funny.
Yeah, when you get into something like that, you better lean into it.
Yeah,
and because people respect that. So anyway, all right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.